Hello, Capricorn. Are you gonna focus? What? Qua. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to Sea Goat Secrets. All right, so Capricorn, I really wanted to discuss the new moon, the Taurus new moon, and we are kind of close to it. I will say, from my personal experience, the Scorpio full moon eclipse, although I was prepared for it, still was a lot. um, I hope that you guys went through it and you kind of took a lot of deep breaths and drank a lot of water and stayed calm. I did. A lot of things were revealed to me that I was not expecting to be revealed. A lot of truths came to the surface that it's interesting what happened for me. It was a me to me experience, but I started to connect certain dots and memories and things like that. And so a lot of things started to make sense that I would have been happier if I did not know. But now that I know, or I guess now I know, it's just fine. Please excuse the sounds. I am inside. However, my window is going through something strange. So it's kind of open, even though it's closed. It's a little frustrating, but with my microphone in, we should be fine in terms of getting through it. And I'm going to double check to make sure. Yeah, okay. We're fine in terms of microphone and trying to shut things down. Okay, so this new moon. What I'm so happy about, Capricorn, is so the Taurus new moon is in your fifth house. So your house of pleasure and fun, children, sex, and all the things that you really enjoy. But don't always allow yourself to have. That work hard, play hard dynamic is going to be a big conversation for you when it comes to this moon, Capricorn. And as the Jupiter entering Taurus transit is taking place, so all of this is happening at the same time. Or around, not obviously not the same date and time, but around the same time. So for you, this new moon, just like the eclipse, is obviously affecting you for the next 6 months. The lunar eclipse kind of has its after effects for a while. So all the themes that you were going through during that lunar eclipse um, are going to shape, or I guess have already shaped, the rest of your year. That's why release was so important, because you don't want to be stuck with whatever topics or things that came to the surface. They really were there to help you put a close or put an end to them so that you can then progress forward. And a lot of the things I can definitely attest for myself when I say a lot of the things that came to the surface, the release of them and the revelation of them does set the tone for my new beginning, because I can move forward um, without confusion, right? I can move forward with my questions answered, and I can truly close the book on the past, right? And a part of that is shaping the rest of my year by saying to myself, okay, I've been here, here, and here. I've experienced this, this, and this. Now I can make sure that my decisions moving forward don't reflect the decisions that I made in the past, or they're not familiar to those things in a negative way, right? So there's that. Um, and this Jupiter and new moon Taurus energy is all about pleasure for you. It's all about fun. It's all about really, now that you've survived it all, the Scorpio moon has made you hyper aware of what it is that you've had to survive, the themes of how all of the things came together in these last couple of chapters, and now it's time for you to enjoy that whole comeback thing that Capricorn has been waiting for. I've been seeing in some comments throughout YouTube where Capricorn is just like, okay, we've been through it for a long time. When are we going to get out of this? When is it our time to shine? When is it our time to experience the good things? It's important, Capricorn, to pay attention to the fact that you've already experienced many good things. The transformation that you've gone through alone is celebratory within itself. So during this new moon, you are going to have the time to smell the roses. This energy is going to make it so that you start to open your eyes. And through that experience of opening your eyes, you're going to start to realize, wow, I did get myself here. I did do all of these things. This is my new love life, or this is my new job, or this is my new institution, or my new career. Um, this is my new home. This is my new path. And this transit is going to make it so that instead of that crisis energy that you were in, probably from the last the last moon transit put you in a bit of a crisis mode, and then you were really steady on that because Pluto was exiting your sign. These last 2 to 2.5, 3 months, things have slowed down a lot for you, which is neither here nor there, because in a way it felt like, okay, this is now testing my patience. I did all of this work. Why does it feel like I'm in a stalemate, right? And Mercury retrograde just extended that feeling of a stalemate. But it's not because the universe is against you. It's because what you needed to do was rest. You've done so much, and many of you have acted under crisis. So now is the time, or you've been gifted the time, to be able to relate, relax, and heal. That's what this delay has been, right? And now it's time to see the fruits of your labor, Taurian energy. But keep in mind, you're also still planting seeds. So with this new moon, you're pretty much saying to yourself, okay, these are all the things that I did up until this point. Let me stop and smell the roses, value them, appreciate them, appreciate myself. Really understand that the end of the past and the things that I went through are done and complete, and this is the new, right? And now I can really enjoy, and I can really experience, and I can really love my life and get that return on my investment, even just as simple as the art of happiness, that being able to experience true, genuine contentment and release and happiness and a lighter feeling is you getting the return on your investment that many of you have put in. I have to say, I've seen countless Capricorns have to walk away from entire lives that they were living, entire career paths, um, losses of people that they loved, things like that. Many of you had literally had to begin again, and you followed Pluto pushing you toward that direction, and you're getting the return. So with that return, in terms of being able to experience that bliss, like I said, you're now planting seeds. So you're going to be able, because you're feeling lighter and because you're feeling better, you're going to be able to say, okay, this is what I want. And based on the fact that I can look back and see that I've gotten what I wanted before, and I can really appreciate that, I know now that what it is that I put forward is going to be able to come to life. It's going to be able to be born. And for you, Capricorn, this is all about growth and transformation. And the transformation is not the same kind of transformation you went through before, which was more kind of like, I guess the only way I can describe it is very ape housey, very scorpion or scorpionic. It was transformation through crises. Now your transformation is transformation through bliss, through just growth. And that feeling alone is going to give you the inspiration, the growth without opposition. You're so used to putting your head to the ground and gritting your teeth and uh, learning how to push through. This time, it's a matter of things coming to fruition without so much grit and grime because you've already done it. It's just a matter of saying, this is what I want, and the luck of Jupiter and this new moon energy is coming in and saying, okay, this is how it can get done. We can do this. We can grow this, because it was a lot of work that you've already done up until this point. And the thing that you're learning, Capricorn, I just keep stressing because all of it works in tandem to the new Pluto Aquarius transit, which will affect you for the next 20 or so years in terms of the way your life operates with your value and your sense of self-worth and your money, etc. You have learned how to allow, and you're learning how to allow. You're learning that your character plays a bigger role in your movements and in your career path than the work that you do. The work that you do is the aftermath of the work that you do on yourself. So that's where you are now, and you're being kind of groomed into understanding that. I know this video is about the Taurus new moon, but I'm kind of combining it with the Jupiter transit uh, because they are just the two together working in tandem is just really powerful for you. It's a hyper emphasis on you enjoying your life, you just being able to relax more, going easier on yourself. For my own sea goat experience, I started reading The Art of Happiness last year, and I bought the book. I think it was early last year, but I didn't start to read it until I started my great transformation nearing the end of the year. And I read the same pages over and over again, continued the same chapters over and over again, because I really needed to draw home what it was that it was trying to say to me. A lot of the things in there, because I'm a practicing Taoist, a lot of that work has been things that I've heard 1,000 times, right? Or even just outside of Taoism, going back to books that I've read even as a teenager, you know, about um, how to navigate life, or books on Wicca, books on Hinduism, Buddhism, Deepak Chopra. I've heard it 1,000 times how to know that the universe is working in your favor, understanding divine guidance, understanding how to not take things personally, etc. Hell, I've even seen it in memes on Instagram. But there's something about the way the book put it together. And maybe it's my psychology needing to associate myself with some kind of Bible. But it really did it for me. I was able to learn how to be happier. And really, what that means is getting to a space of contentment, and all else will fall from there. So you're not seeking happiness, you're seeking contentment. And from contentment, you just want all of your emotions are going from here. Once you create this baseline, you don't have to fall. It's about how do I reach this space, and then everything else is like a wave above it. So, but nonetheless, I personally am ready. My seagoat placements are ready for this exciting transit to come in because of the practice that I've done pertaining to the art of happiness and understanding how to be happy and be at that baseline. Now, with all of this good energy coming in, being able to experience it is staying above that wavelength and knowing how to navigate it, especially with all of this positive energy backing it up. Those of you who are in the creative field, like me, this time period is big for you in terms of your money and your resources. So if you have a hobby and you have been thinking about navigating that hobby, as in turning it into something that is lucrative for you and something that is financially sound for you, this is the time to do so. And it's not about doing it in a way where you're like lugging it, right? Don't do that Capricorn thing where you're picking it up and you're trying to lug it up the mountain. It's actually about doing it in a way that is very fun and fluid and receptive. The more you have fun with it during this next year, the better it will be. The more you flow with it, the more successful your outcome. Pluto is going back into your sign, but this time it's not in the same way. It's not with the same pressure, but it still is refining you. It's giving you this last leg of turning you truly into the diamond you've been being carved into being. So as you're still transforming, it's now you transforming in a more lighthearted way. So it's like reaching senior year in college, or number 10 in the lineup, right? It's, you know what to do, you've already done it, you've been here for 15 years, you've gone through the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, the most difficult parts, and now you're at the most graceful part, and you're learning how to do it with grace now. Because you have grit, now you're entering grace. You're getting a lot of surges of inspiration. You're going to be feeling, honestly, bliss, especially in terms of your relationships and your connections. This is a great time for work connections, friendships. With Saturn in Pisces, Saturn is in your third house. And for you, during your Pluto transit, the lines were blurred. Neptune blurred. I don't even remember the placement that Neptune was in, but the lines were blurred in terms of your social interactions. That's why many of you experienced some really traumatic things when it came to your relationships or your friendships, family, or romantic relationships. You were surrounded by people that frankly you more than likely shouldn't have been around, or made serious relationships that probably should have stayed on the surface. Even when you're looking at Capricorn celebrities right now, you're kind of seeing the same thing, like, like, oh geez, why was he with that person, or why was she with that person? That person clearly wasn't good for them, or didn't wish them well, right? But with those blurred lines, you were learning a lot about who you were through having a lot of these social oppositions. And that's a part of what took place within the past year or so, where many of those connections and relationships came to an abrupt end in various ways, and really they were there to set you free. And now, as Pisces is in your Saturn, is now that Pisces is in Saturn and it's sitting in your third house, discrimination is the name. And I know normally we don't like a word like discrimination in 2023, but for you, it's a great thing, because many of you have walked away from your old lives or old people or old situations. And that is you discriminating and defining what it is that you'll surround yourself around and who it is that you'll surround yourself with. And it's really you staking claim in who you are, and really painting the picture of the life that you want for yourself and who it is that you want to be. And that'll continue as Pisces is in your third house. This is not a Pisces in Saturn video. They could go into, language and travel and selling and stuff like that, but this is not about that. But I'm just connecting it to what you will be experiencing: Taurus new moon, Jupiter transit, with Pisces being in Saturn. You're going to now get the benefits of these new relationships. And it could be a new romantic relationship, which is loving and wonderful, or it could be just a fresh dating life. And also, it could just be, or as well as, a wonderful career life where your friends and your community are just filling your cup. You've noticed slowly but surely, Capricorn, even though many of you have kind of been in a hermit stage, your social life has been changing gradually, where more and more people are looking toward you in a positive light. And you're radiating, you're glowing, whether you realize it or not. And a lot of it is because of the energy that you gave to yourself. You started to work on yourself, sea goat, at the same rate in which you used to work on others. And so more and more people are gravitating toward you and really want to connect with you and fill your cup, especially as you learned how to fill it yourself. And you're really going to start to experience that very, very soon. As this transit happens and we end May and we step into June, that wheel is really going to start to turn. For some of you, it might take a quick shift, and immediately you're going to start to feel that big change, especially after the new moon. Where others of you, the turn might be a little bit more slow, but the slower turn is going to be felt, which is good. Another thing as well is, outside of people loving you, you're also loving yourself deeper. You've had to learn how to love yourself deeper. And just because you're getting love from others now, don't replace what it is that you've learned about yourself and the importance and the value of who you are, and investing in who you are. Because a part of that third house placement is, yes, you're being very selective and particular about who is around you, but also you're being selective and particular about your own self and your own time. Self-love is the first thing, and everything else will come after. Another thing about this time period is it can be great for fertility, but outside of fertility, your sex life. So the new moon transit in combination with the Jupiter transit, and the time of the year that it is, it's a time of pleasure for you. So you're going to be feeling sexier, feeling more sensual. People are going to be able to identify that in you. You're going to see people more drawn to you, more showing more obvious interest and attraction to you. If and when you do decide to partner with someone, or the partner that you already have, there's going to be a lot of pleasure and a lot of passion, but just the way that you like it, which is sensuous, but still with that fifth house wild sensatiable, is that the word? Insatiable energy, but in a sensual and grounded, authentic way. Especially because when you're talking about love, many of you are looking for a more serious partner. And you do have all of the things being able to make it so that that is the case. And you also can have that thing that you love so much, Capricorn, as the devil that you are, which is the physical passion of it all. Um, so yeah, so it's a lot of pleasure, it's a lot of good things, and I'm happy for you. I'm happy to see that come into fruition. So for this new moon, I will talk about the reading that I did. Um, so for the subject, like I think I've told you guys before, I break things down. And for the subject, I got the King of Pence with the Knight of Wands, with a oracle card that was pretty much about making new memories. And so for you, the subject of this new moon is all about your worth, your values, and adding fast movement toward that. So if you were looking or waiting on a position or job or some callbacks about your money or the delays that were taking place during Mercury retrograde, a lot of that is going to be able to move forward now after this new moon transit. So the things that you were trying to implement, you're going to see come into fruition, which is great. You're going to start to really look at yourself as a person of value, and you're going to start to look at the things that you can do and the skills that you do have as more valuable than you did before. And that is also a part of what is going to continue to push you forward to get what it is that you want, and see the returns on what it is that you have put out, or the refinement that you've done toward yourself. A lot of the blocks that you are having is the way you view yourself and the things that you already have. So it's not necessarily saying to do old things the same way you've done it. If it's the same skill, it's about re-envisioning the way that you see it, re-envisioning the way that you see yourself through it. Knowing your worth, knowing your path, and beginning anew. So if there's any kind of insecurity that you have toward the work that you've been doing, or a skill or a talent that you have, you are now in a place where you are stepping out and saying, okay, I can do this. I have what it takes to push forward what it is that I want to do, with all of the inspiration and all of the intuition, really. So it's putting that passion and that power and that confidence behind your own work. The block that you may possibly have is indecision, feeling like you can't trust your intuition, healing your heart as well, and overthinking. So indecision, worried about being able to let go of whatever wounds that you've experienced, and a lot of overthinking. I think with this new moon, you're going to be questioning yourself and questioning what it is that you can do, and questioning your worth and who it is that you are. But with all of that shadow comes the lighter side, and you're questioning it and overthinking it because you're supposed to come out on the other side, which is understanding it, understanding your value, understanding your worth, getting ready for pleasure, getting ready for a new life, new commitments, stronger investments, and yeah, seeing the work that you've been wanting to put out, seeing exactly where it is that you need to go. If you don't see quick returns, as in like some of you, it's as easy as getting a contract that you've been wanting, or a job that you've been looking for. And for others of you, it's being able to see the path clearly. Now I can see where it is that I need to go, or the decisions that I need to make that are going to get me to that King of Pentacles energy, where I'm feeling stable and comfortable. And through the process of enjoying my life, I can enjoy it, because you are an earth sign at the end of the day. I can enjoy it better now that I know that I'm financially stable. Because sometimes it's hard for Capricorns to enjoy things if they feel as if though their money isn't right. So yeah, that is it for the new moon, Capricorn. I apologize if I've been a little anxious. The sounds are really distracting. But yes, thank you again. I love you.